Hello everyone, welcome back to our Yellow Couch Chat session. We meet here every Friday to talk about different issues happening in the workplace, life, and everything in between. Well, in today's episode, I have with me a very, very special guest. I will let her introduce herself, but we are going to be talking about mentoring and supporting women. As we all know, we're in the month where we're celebrating women, we're trying to support women, we're trying to make sure that their voices are heard, their stories are told, and they rise up to positions whereby they're able to make a change and influence the community. So how do we support and mentor these women to rise up above and, make this impact that we all are looking forward to? So here with me, I have Rebeca, and she will introduce herself. Most of you know her already, but let her give the intro. And of course, I'll be your host. My name is Nancy Mbogor. I am Senior Coordinator Engagement here at Empower Limited. If you have any comments, anything you'd like to contribute concerning today's program, please drop it in the comments and we'll be happy to share them with everyone. So karibuni sana, Rebeca. Karibu, Yellow Couch.
Thank you so much.
Please introduce yourself so that people can know you. For those who are hearing about you for the first time,
Sure.
seeing you for the first time,
Sure.
let them know you.
Thank you. First, it's such a pleasure to be here and for you to invite me, Nancy.
Sure.
Asante sana. My name is Rebeca Gyumi, as you rightly said. I am a founder and executive director of a young women and a youth organization called Msichana Initiative Organization. It's a non-governmental organization that works to advance the rights of girls and young women in Tanzania. Yes, I also sit in a number of boards in Tanzania. I'm a mentor, I've been mentored as well, so I'm a mentee.
Yes.
So I think this conversation for me is also very close to my heart because these are the things that I do, but also I have been trying to advocate to be able to strengthen the women movement in Tanzania.
Awesome. So we have the right person in the right to talk about the topic that that is very close to them in their heart. It's what they do every day. So to dive into this discussion, Rebeca, tell us about your first experience when you first approached a mentor. The first time you approached a mentor or someone that you wanted them to be a mentor, to mentor you in a certain area. How was it like? How did you approach them? What methodologies did you use? What language did you use? And what was their response? And how did it carry on from there?
Okay. That's a very interesting question personally on my journey because... and I don't know if it's normal, by the way, because recalling my experiences and my journey, I had many incidences where I have been mentored, but not necessarily because I took the first initiative to go and say, can you mentor me? Or these are the areas that I think, are converging with your interest and your area of expertise and experience, and I would like to learn from you. So can you invest, your time with me? The first time that I had someone actually guiding me in my development, both professionally and personally, was actually from a woman from a church that I was going to. And the relationship was more her coming to me because she really liked, how I was doing academically. She really liked, how I was positioning myself in the church, but also how I was showcasing my leadership both within the church and outside the church. And she was actually a government employee, that woman. And she got interested in my journey, and she was like, I wish, to sort of like guide you if you like to, in some ways or another, and see if there will be a possibility for you to learn from me in case you have anything. So it was more of like her telling me to come to her anytime I feel or I felt like I had something that I wanted to learn more about. So I would say it took time for me to...
Did you know what she meant? Like, by her inviting you to learn things, did you understand by then what she was trying to?
And that's what I was coming to, that in African context, I think the concept of mentorship is only now that we know of these terminologies, mentorship, but I think it has been there. You know, we have had people in our lives, you know, who were there, you know, who had keen interest in our development. It can be in terms of, you know, people who are close to our families or people who we look up to, but, you know, and they are very close in the manner that they engage with us on a daily basis, and we're inspired by their journey. I came to realize that was sort of like the mentorship that I had when I came to, you know, these spaces, and I came to start understanding what mentorship really meant in terms of definition. But at that time it was more of, this is just someone who is interested in my journey, and you know, whenever I had issues I could go to her, and whenever she had things like, you know, books or ideas or
share them
or things that she would say, like, I think maybe here you need to think a little bit about you know, how you want to approach this, you know. I remember when I was in the verge of deciding if I want to continue with science subjects or I should major into arts, despite of the fact that I was doing well in science subjects. She was among the very first people who, you know, sat with me and said, I don't know, you know, we need more scientists, like women scientists in this space. Are you sure this is the decision you want to make? And then she listened to me and she said, okay, you need to take time yourself to think about this. And then I came to a decision. So I would say that is the experience, if I'm to share how my first experience of being mentored, you know, or having a mentor in my life, you know.
And how about later now, when you entered this professional space, how did you now start managing this mentorship relationship?
So I had a director, actually a deputy director, in a space that I was in, that I was very interested in her journey, and for me that were among the first steps that I took to say I am intentionally going to ask her to mentor me. So in terms of methodologies, I think not complicated at all. You know, for some reason, of course, before deciding if it was her, I took time to learn about her journey, and I think it was obvious because we used to engage a lot. And then I came to learn about the things that she liked, the path that she had been through, the experience, the knowledge that she had, and then I was very interested to sort of like learn more and maybe come close to her so she can mentor me in the same path, you know. So it was just me going to her, approaching her, and then of course explaining that I'm interested in learning more, but also fine-tuning my path, using her as a mentor with the knowledge that she has, with the experience that she has, you know. And and I think
and
from
she
there
was open, she accepted. Nice.
She was actually more than happy, and I can actually say maybe she was already doing that, but not in a sort of like formal, you are mentoring me. So I think coming forth to her and saying, you know, I would like for you to mentor me. It was also a happy moment for her.
Interesting. So in your experience so far, from the very first time you know someone approached you to mentor you, to you approaching someone, in what areas, and also you've said that you mentor young girls, you mentor other women, in what areas do you feel like women need more mentorship on from your experience as a woman, but also in your career journey and everything you've been doing so far?
That's a very good question, Nancy. And the fact is, at the moment, we're actually looking at the women's group, and we have been dissecting the fact that women are not visible in some of the sectors compared to some of the sectors. So I'll give you an example. When we talk about leadership, for instance, we do not see a lot of women, especially in the macroeconomics, you know, taking leadership in those sectors. We do not see a lot of women in, you know, technology and science, for instance. And also a lot of women are still grappling with the fact that even if they have all it takes, you know, they will give themselves 100 reasons as to why they do not fit for those positions. So also leadership in its entirety, either in the boardrooms, outside of the boardrooms, etc. So if I'm to pinpoint where I actually think women need more mentorship in, I would say in leadership, in all its, you know, definition, like leadership in different sectors, but focusing largely in how we are ensuring that more young women are taking science subjects, are mentored to see that science subjects are not just subjects for men.
Yes.
They can also be scientists and successful scientists and be many, by the way. And also mentor women in entering into the contribution of our economy, especially in the macroeconomies of our country. So, industry is looking at, how largely their economic activities will contribute not just in the micro but macro economies of our countries. And then looking at how also we are mentoring women to be in the boards, the boardrooms.
Yes.
The boardrooms
where most of the decisions are being made. Yeah.
We still have a lot of boardrooms actually with male faces, and if we have female, they are very few, and sometimes it's more. It feels as if it's tokenization. Like we're just putting one or two just to say we also have women in our boards. So I think women can also be mentored to take up position in different boards. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think, because you had the opportunity of having a mentor approach you and say, I want to mentor you, but do you think that more other women are also putting themselves out there and, saying, let me invite, are they putting themselves out there for young women to approach them? Are they approachable in the, mentorship relation that, okay, someone can approach me, or do you feel like they're behind closed doors and it makes it hard for a young girl to envision and approach actually and say, there's a woman that's doing great work, I would like to be mentored by that person. So do you feel like these accomplished women are putting themselves available for them to become mentors for young girls to go up to them and say, please be my mentor? Or what's your view on that? Yeah. Or until you're in that space, that's when you are able to now knock on the door because you work, next to each other or you're in the same, company. How do I
see it?
Yeah.
If you ask me, are there mentorships opportunities happening at the moment with accomplished women? Yes, they are. Are they in the volume that they were supposed to be? Especially with the value that they bring in this space? I would say definitely no. I think we definitely have an opportunity to have even more mentorship opportunities. And in the question of are they approachable or not, I would like to dissect it in this way.
Yeah.
I think many times, especially in our space, we tend to confuse between role models and people that can mentor us. And in that sense, many times, and I'm speaking this also from experience, people only think that people who can mentor us are the people that sometimes we admire as, they are seen in newspapers or they have huge following or etc.
Yes.
Without noticing that even in your own space, like working space, you can have a manager or a director who is doing very well in the sector that you want to be accomplished in, who can actually mentor you, So, and I know you asked that question because you have the basis out of it, So with this first model of role models, I think maybe sometimes, also maybe because of the nature, I cannot blame them.
Yes.
It's not so easy sometimes to take everyone. Like the uptake might be huge compared to how they're able to support, So people might feel as if they're not approachable. But I have seen firsthand myself how women have always been open, to help me, to assist me, whether I've knocked on the door or because they like what I do and they ask me, how can we help you, So I feel there is appetite for that. And maybe I use this opportunity to encourage young women and girls to really think well before you decide who do you want to be mentored with, and maybe don't just sit on the idea of, this is my role model, so that should be the only person who I want to be mentored with. There are exceptionally women and young women in our spaces that if we take time to learn, will have a great deal of, things to learn from them as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there is just that probably there is more demand than there is a supply of female mentors.
Exactly.
So, okay, now let's look at the dynamics of having between a female and a male mentor. As a young girl wanting to go up there, which one should I go for? Should I go for a female mentor because probably they're going through the same thing or have been through the same things that I am currently experiencing and I want to rise above them? Or do I go for a male mentor because they'll give me maybe a different perspective or a different pathway because they're different?
I think for me, I'll go with the female mentor. And I have obvious reasons for that, sometimes they say the person who has walked through that path know how it feels, compared to, the person who just say, I know that way. Maybe you can follow this way because I've read about it, wanasema aliyevaa kiatu ndo anajua kimembana au kimempoa kiasi gani. So in the same understanding, I feel like based on our gender stereotype, our socialization, the way our community is set up, and a lot of responsibility that comes with leading in any space, be it private or public. If I'm mentored by a female mentor, I am sure they'll be able to dissect all these dynamics that sometimes a male leader might not be able to appreciate that they're as important, or sometimes they're as confusing when you're trying to figure yourself out.
True.
So they'll be able to shape me in a way that I'm able to appreciate the fact that I'm a woman and I'm fierce, but at the same time how to navigate the social cultural aspect of growing up in an African setting, but at the same time you want to be accomplished as a leader. So putting all of that in perspective as I'm climbing up the ladder, I think that would be very important. So if I am to choose, I would choose a female mentor.
Does that go both ways? For a guy who also wants to be mentored, can they also approach a woman and say, I want Rebecca to be my mentor, but I'm a man? Can that work?
Okay, so to tell you the truth, I've mentored male as well. But I'm just saying, for a female leader, when you want to transcend into any space you're in, and you have an option whether you take a male mentor or a female mentor, I would choose a female mentor all the time. But I think for male, it also depends maybe on the issues sometimes that you want to be mentored in. And maybe both can actually help you. But I would say for female, if you want to transcend in leadership and you're really thinking about should I go with a male or female, I would say go with a female mentor.
Nice. Well, this has been an interesting discussion. I would like to ask one more question before we wind up. How can mentorship programs assist in closing the gender gap, especially the gender gap that exists, especially in leadership? As you talked about it briefly, but now just for the people that are watching to see the importance of actually taking up mentors, becoming mentees, and actually valuing the relationship. If you're in a mentorship relationship, how do you? How do they see the value in it? So can you help us break it down how mentorship programs can help close this gender gap? Because we're also trying to, it's one of our missions, as you know, we try to bring about gender equality in the workplace. We need to find a way to close this gap that's currently existing in leadership positions between men and women. So how can this program help?
Okay, so maybe I should actually say, this is actually very true, especially also for people who are working in the professional spaces will agree with me. In an incidence where there is a leadership position in the workspace, and let's say I have 80% of the possibility that I have all the credentials that they are looking for. Being a female, I would mark time and think about it a lot, while Hassani, who has only 60%, or sometimes even 40, or 20 even, and see the same opportunity, will immediately go for it and grab that opportunity. So that speaks volume in the confidence and the manner that women leaders still lag behind in terms of putting themselves out there. So with mentorship, then we're able to close gender gap because you'll have women with potential being mentored, in terms of skills, knowledge, and being pushed to appreciate their path, while at the same time working on climbing up the ladder by the women who have been there, who have probably seen it all, but at the same time giving them the moral and material and technical support to be able to achieve the best of their potential. But at the same time, mentorship will help them to nurture the talents of the young women who have leadership potential to be able to climb up the leadership ladder, but at the same time understand their priorities in the sector that they want to focus their leadership potential in. So then it becomes important, because it's not just a succession plan in essence, because you're able to create another cadre of young women leaders and women leaders in the spaces, but it also helps in building the confidence
and the skills
that exactly. And sometimes that confidence that sometimes you think like I do not fit, but you have it all. That just go take it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rebecca. This has been a very insightful discussion. I think our viewers out there have learned, and probably if you've been beating yourself or wondering whether you should become a mentor or become a mentee, probably this discussion will convince you to take up that opportunity, because it's very important. And especially for young girls, we are bombarded with so many, I would say, challenges that might, make us, lag behind or not want to be proactive in taking up opportunities. But it's very important. If you feel stuck, you can always look up to someone, and you can start from where you are. You don't have to necessarily look at who has more followers on Instagram or LinkedIn. Start from where you are in your community. Look at who is doing great things, someone you can learn from, and start from there, and you'll get more as you climb up the ladder. Thank you so much, Rebecca. To our viewers, please, if you want to share more ideas, or if you have more ideas like this and you'd like people to read or learn about your ideas, please visit our page, the movement page on our website at www.empower.co.tz, and create a mover profile. You can write articles about women, you can write articles about anything that you're passionate about, and those ideas will be shared across. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere. And tell us what you'd like us to talk about on Yellow Couch, on Empower Academy. Anything you'd like Empower to bring up into the discussion room, we'll be happy to do so. Until next time, it was an honor hosting you. Take care. See you soon next Friday. Bye-bye.